clear trend that I can see, at least. Susan Lee is with me, and she's laughing at me. I say this every morning. No clear trend at the opening bell, OK? So I've got, what is it now, 7 of the Dow 30 on the upside. The rest are on the downside, and the Dow is down all of 47 points. That's it so far. The S&P 500 down 0.06%. Not much movement. The Nasdaq is down 0.04%. I'd call that dead flat. How about big tech? Probably dead flat as well. Modest moves.
Flat.
Flat. Thank you, Susan.
I agree.
You're quite right. Now then, Susan, I'm glad you're with us because I want to talk about Peloton. Are they going to sell their products on Amazon?
So there are individual movers and outperformers today. And take a look at Peloton. We're up 12%. I saw even 18% to the pre-market. So this is the first time that Peloton is going to sell their bikes and their clothing on another platform outside of their own. So instead of going direct. And this is the basic bike. You get the Peloton Guide, which is the weights division that's going on Amazon. And Peloton says that there are already 500,000 searches on Amazon each and every month for Peloton products. Now, as you know, Peloton is in some trouble. The stock is down some 70% this year. It used to be worth $50 billion at its peak. Now it's worth $3 billion. So you can do the math there. And as a result, they have to lay off. They're cutting jobs, of course, closing their Ohio plant, and they're trying to find $800 million in cost savings somewhere. So maybe they're looking at more distribution deals on other platforms outside of their own and just going direct.
OK, I would never call Peloton stock a gambling chip, OK? I would not do that, Susan.
Why? What's the difference then if it's,
we're not going to get into
that much? Anyways.
That one. Tell me, I've got a question about Tesla. Put them on the screen, please. What are they doing this morning? Tesla, is it moving up in advance of tomorrow's stock split?
I think so, but I also think there's a Twitter play here as well. So tomorrow they're splitting 3 for 1 after the market close, as you know. So think of $300 instead of $900. Also, you have Elon Musk telling complainers to quiet down, calm down on the glitches in that new full self-driving update. $15,000 is costing you 25% more, but give it some time, he says. Also, Bernstein reiterating Tesla as market performed today, saying they're going to get some boost from that $200 billion climate deal. But I also think that that Twitter whistleblower complaint also helps boost the stock price because, as you know, there's been a $100 overhang or so on Tesla with this uncertainty over the takeover deal. And given that Elon Musk, while he had to sell more stock, he did, as you know, I think last month, just in case, or the last few weeks, just in case. But, that overhang has been $100 or so.
If he doesn't have to shell out all that money for Twitter, it stays in Tesla.
Correct.
And Tesla looks pretty good with the stock split.
That's right.
Do we have something new on Twitter this morning?
So downgraded, look at this. So we're sub $40 now. Downgraded this morning by Rosenblatt, and they're cutting it to neutral from buy, only worth $37 in their view, which, by the way, is way below that $54.20 Musk offer price. Now, the reason is because that whistleblower complaint that seems to support Musk's complaint about the higher number of bots on the platform, giving Musk an advantage in that upcoming court trial. So the question is, does he get to walk away? Does he pay that $1 billion breakup fee? Does he get a lower price? Twitter was hammered yesterday, down 7%. I think it lost about $2 billion in market cap because of that whistleblower complaint. So advantage Musk here.
I'm interested in Nordstrom. I know they're down today. I'm particularly interested in all the inventory they've got, which they might have to sell off cheap.
Finally catching up to Nordstrom's because they were probably one of the outperformers in the retail space. So customer traffic and demand, they say, is slowing down significantly. You never want to hear that. That started in late June for them, and that's taking mostly at Nordstrom Rack, which tells me that there is an inflationary concern, of course, when you have the lower discount range, seeing slowing sales faster. So as a result, they're cutting their full year guidance. And that's despite, I thought it was a pretty strong spring sales season for them. But inventory they need to reduce, and at least seven analyst price target cuts I saw this morning.
What is Farfetch?
It's a luxury online e-commerce site. But I know you like big movers because you get bored very easily. Very short attention span.
I get bored very
so
easily.
Farfetch here.
It's true.
It's true.
That was a nasty slam on me, but it is
nasty.
True. I've got a very short attention span.
It's just truth, right? After 4 years, I know this. So it's Farfetch.
Is it only 4 years?
Yeah. Has it only? So it's been flying today.
I thought it was 32.
Stock after its deal. What? 32 years?
No, I'm joking.
Wow, that would be.
Read your script.
Okay. Like, what, are you trying to say I'm old all of a sudden, or where did that come from?
Please read the script.
Okay, so Farfetch flying after it bought 47% of a fashion retailer over in Europe called YNAP from Richemont, and it's an all-stock deal. So you're getting 50 million shares here fully of a far-fetched.
Okay.
We have to take a look at Bed Bath & Beyond, so hurry this up.
Who bailed him out?
Okay, so we don't know who, but JP Morgan facilitated this loan. According to the Journal, the retailer was looking for some sort of lifeline, a bridge loan of $375 million, and that's to pad its cash levels, maybe pay down some debt. We don't know who's giving out this loan, but JP is facilitating it. And as you know, I was looking at the stock performance, and yes, Bed Bath & Beyond is down. What is it? Like down
lot.
40% this year?
Yeah,
it's actually,
huge.
or something like that, but it's up almost 90% in the past month. And that's because of Ryan Cohen, despite the fact that he sold out of his 10% stake in Bed Bath & Beyond.
Ryan Cohen's not a popular guy, is he?
I think he's a very popular guy. When you can drive capital like that to stocks and triple Bed Bath & Beyond in a few weeks' time.
Which stock did he sell out of all of a sudden?
Bed Bath & Beyond.
That's the one, yeah. And everybody was left holding the bag.
Yeah, again, the stock is up 90% in the past 4 weeks, right? I think it's incredible influence when you can drive, first of all, the GameStop mania last year, and also drive capital to stocks and increase market cap.
Have you ever met Ryan Cohen?
I would love to meet Ryan Cohen.
But you've not met him so far?
I have not.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I mean, have you?
No. I don't know any of these
call them
CEOs.
together?
I don't know any of them.
Yeah, no,
None
that's
of
not
them.
true. You
None
do.
of them.
You know a lot of them.
I don't want to know them. I don't think you get much out of a CEO interview. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't think you do.
I was like, did you have your coffee this morning? Is this
Too
a
much,
get off
probably.
my lawn
Too much,
conversation?
All right, Susan, thank you very much indeed. Check that big board. We're only down 50 points. That's it. That's a fraction of 1%. 0.15%. That's it. Dow winners. Top of that list is Boeing. Back up there. Salesforce, Intel, United Health, Procter & Gamble's on the list.
Salesforce reporting earnings tonight as well.
Oh, is that after the bell?
Yeah.
Okay. 500 winners. Halliburton, Marathon, Hess. Norwegian Cruise Lines is back.
Oh, wow. But the oil complex, that's
Yeah.
so interesting.
Yeah, they're
and
doing
did you
well.
read yesterday that Texas and their endowment could be bigger
Yes,
than
than Harvard.
Harvard's because of their
oil.
Permian Basin investment? Incredible.
I used to own shares in the Permian Basin Trust.
Wow.
Which is the largest underground lake of oil in the world.
And what happened to
I
that?
sold out in the late 1980s, as I recall. I've been around a long time. NASDAQ winners, and we got that. Illumina, Zoom, Dexcom, Tesla up there. Atlassian Corporation. The 10-year Treasury yield moving up this morning, 3.08%. Big tech's not going to like that. Gold, $17.56 per ounce. Bitcoin, roughly $21,000. Yeah, 21.3. Oil moving up, $94 a barrel this morning. Nat gas moving up, $9.28 this morning. The average price for a gallon of gas is down just 1 cent at $3.88, and you'll find the cheapest gas in America in Arkansas, $3.40.
Used to be Mississippi, right?
Yes, it was until recently. Yeah.
That's the
but
cheapest
Arkansas,
in the country.
$3.40. You think cheap, $3.40? Where did that come from?
True.